Hygiene is super important in sex work, which is why we've partnered with Hero Soap Company, all natural soaps with no chemicals, dyes, fragrances, or parabens, which the FDA cites for being found in breast cancer biopsy and causes male reproductive problems. Hero Soap Company is veteran-owned and operated, handmade in Arizona in the beautiful USA. Subscribe for a monthly delivery of soap straight to your door every month, and for every bar purchase in a subscription, we match and send the troops a peppermint cool soap to tingle their nuts for the first time during deployment. Use my code SIA at checkout for 10% off. Let freedom clean. Hey guys, welcome back to Strip by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the naked people in between. This may or may not be the last episode of the season. I'm recording in the middle of this coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, and yeah, it's been not so fun. I've had to cancel a lot of interviews, a lot of trips, but you know what? At least we have someone fun here to record with. To wrap up this season, but hopefully by the time this comes out, maybe it'll all blow over, so we'll see. But without further ado, I've been hyping this up over the past couple of months, but we finally have my slave on the show today. He has agreed, or somewhat not really agreed, because I kind of made him do it. As a good slave should do, right? So I'm just going to refer to you as slave, because obviously you want to be anonymous, so I obviously respect your decision in that, but why don't we go into it? So who are you? What do you do? Whatever you feel comfortable telling the audience. Obviously I know you want to remain anonymous, so feel free to tell us who you are.
So I am 36 years old. I've had a love for the female feet for the longest time, as far as I remember. Probably the earliest would have been when I was really, really young. Probably around 8 or 9 years old. Okay. Since I remember I was really into this.
So backing up, guys, he is my foot slave. And also we'll go into some more things later in terms of like how that has developed over time. But sorry, back up. Foot slave. So let's go into that. So you kind of had this fetish, or you kind of knew that you were kind of into this around 8 or 9?
I believe so.
Yeah. Or you noticed.
I noticed. Yes, I definitely noticed that I was much into it at around that early age.
How did you get into it though? Like, what does that even mean?
My first impression of it, I was still quite young, and it might have even been way earlier than 8 or 9, because I remember I was crawling on the floor at that time, so I was probably a lot younger than 8.
I would hope that would be a lot younger than 8.
So at that point in time, I remember I actually had some guests over at my parents' place, and I was crawling around, and there was this lady that was a friend of my mom, I believe, that was there, and she was cute, and I was kind of just like crawling around the ground, and I noticed that I was like crawling around, like trying to get closer to her feet in a way. So that is definitely the earliest that I can remember I was into it. I don't know how it started, but that was it. That was the earliest thing that I can remember as to why I am into it. But
that's so interesting. So you were just drawn by, you're magnetized by only female feet, so no male feet?
No. Definitely not. Definitely not. As much as I love the female feet, I absolutely hate male feet. I cannot even look or think about it. It's just absolutely gross. No.
Okay, so what's the difference between female and male feet?
I mean, I guess there's no real difference in the sense, like from physical point of view, but to me, the female feet is what carries a woman. I mean, I guess a male feet carries a man, but you know what I mean.
Well, both.
I don't know. To me, it's like the lowest part of a lady, and if you worship that, that means you, to me at least, back in the days, it meant that you really adore her and you pretty much worship everything about her if you
Right.
worship the lowest part of her body.
That's really interesting. Yeah. Super cool. So was that something more in terms of like a cultural perspective, or just something that you observed? That was an observation.
I
Or
don't
is it
think it
something
was
that you
anything
believe in,
cultural.
too? Yeah.
It is definitely something I personally believed in. It was also a lot had to do with the way I saw my mom and dad, and the way my dad always treated my mom so well, and that was definitely something that stood out for me. And it just made it a little bit different. It made me want to treat someone differently in a way that most guys wouldn't. So in a way that made it more special to me.
Right.
I don't know if it had anything to do with culture, because I basically grew up in a more of a Islamic country. So that kind of thing wasn't really, in the culture, I guess.
Right.
But that was just something that, in a way, was special to me, and I just took it and I kind of made it my own,
Interesting. So fascinating. Super cool. And then, okay, so you're also talking about your parents as well. So you were speaking about like how your dad, how you observed your dad treat your mom, and also like how you're also very close with your mom or something like that as well. Did you want to kind of go into that as well?
Yeah.
And how that might relate to feet? Because we're still trying to figure that out.
I don't exactly know how it relates per se, like 100%, but I definitely noticed that, like, when I was growing up, my dad would always treat my mom super well, and that is something that always stuck with me. There was never a time that I saw that he would treat her badly, or, they argued, they fought like every other couple.
Yeah.
But he genuinely, and out of his whole heart, he loved her, and he still does, even though my mom has passed now a couple of years ago. But that was the thing that really caught my eye, and he would have done anything for her. And I believe this is something that I got out of it. I did notice my dad like play with my mom's feet one time, and my mom was like, "No, that's disgusting. What are you doing?" I did notice it one time, and only one time, and that was it. But I don't know if that had anything to do with it. I don't think it did, because for me, this whole thing started way before I noticed that incident.
Yeah.
But my mom, obviously adored my dad as well, but just the way that my dad treated my mom made her feel like she was like the only woman, like, pretty much on the planet for him. To me, this is a way of doing something similar for a lady as well, just to show her that she's special. And there's definitely more ways that you can show this, but to me, this is as a child growing up. Obviously I don't have money or anything like that, so this to me felt like an easy way to show gratitude and appreciation.
Interesting. No, that makes sense. A little bit, I think. I'm still trying to understand this whole thing.
I am trying to understand it myself too.
It's a mystery.
It is.
But, guys, if you didn't know, feet fetish, they are the most common kink. I'm sure you are probably aware of that as well.
Definitely.
Definitely. We're definitely going to go into that for sure. So feet fetish, it's more common than you think, guys. It's pretty normal, I would say. I would say it's like a pretty vanilla-ish kind of kink if we're talking on like the kink scale. I would say, again, super common. Did you want to kind of go into your experience as a foot slave?
Yeah.
How did you get into that? How does one become a foot slave?
Well, to be honest, I was really in the closet about this whole thing, because I was always super embarrassed about it and didn't really know how people would react or judge me on it. And to this day, really, there's only a handful of people that know about this.
Really?
Yes.
So you think there's a lot of stigma, or you carry yourself like a lot of stigma with this?
Yeah. I think so. I just think there are a lot of people that judge you on things that they don't understand. And
Always. Like stripping.
Exactly.
Like this podcast. That's what it's all about, right? So, helping people understand. But sorry, keep going.
No, so I was just saying, there's a lot of stigma, as you mentioned, to it. And to me, I didn't want to lose friends. I didn't want to lose, this is going back when I was younger, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be saying things like that to people that I am close with, because they're not going to want to be my friends anymore. So I kept it to myself for the longest time, until probably the age of, just around 24, 25. And I was like, you know what? YOLO, fuck it, right? Like,
YOLO.
Yeah. It was just like...
Fee fetish for all.
Exactly. So it's like, whatever, like, I might just die tomorrow and never experience this. So what the fuck, right? Like, obviously I don't advertise to my friends and whatnot, but I did seek someone online to try it with.
Okay. Where did you find them? Like, how did you know to search for this? Like, tell me your backstory.
Personally, I have always been online. When I was not sharing information with any of my friends or family or anything about this, I was always looking for, foot-related stuff online. I was on the forums, on different websites.
Oh.
I wasn't active so much on the forums as in writing, but I was always, like, reading other people's messages, and, that was definitely the initial way of me getting into it.
When did you start that, like, in terms of timeline? So
in terms of timeline of getting into online forums and whatnot,
yeah.
Probably
like
as soon as I had the internet access, like
that?
I had internet access since I was younger.
Yeah.
But growing up in an Islamic country, a lot of these sites were blocked and you couldn't access anything.
Right.
So it was mostly after I went to the States. I was in the States for a year. I was down doing university in the States for 1 year. That's kind of where I had no limitations on, like, internet. So that's kind of when I started going on the forums and, like, looking at photos, and some videos, qualities and whatnot were, like, not great at the time. This is going back 10, 15 years.
Totally.
But eventually, after moving to Canada and over the last pretty much like 15, 20 years, I've pretty much been on as many forums as I can, Googling, different forums, going into them.
Like, what are you asking? What are you reading? Like...
So the forums, I don't really connect with anybody on the forums. Mm-hmm. It's more like discussion boards where people, post videos, post photos.
Oh, I see.
They talk a little bit about, like, their own personal experiences. Again, I don't generally post anything on those forums, but I like to read and see what people say.
So more of an observer.
Pretty much, yes. Mm-hmm. I did post some photos and videos, not obviously of me, but, the ones that I had found, and, just repost them. For other people. I did that for a little bit, but then I was like, why am I doing this? This is already online. So
yeah.
Then I stopped. But in terms of meeting someone and trying this out for the first time, I after observing all these videos and photos, I was like, it would be nice to experience this. Why don't I experience this? And it took a lot for me to just be able to connect with someone and to reach out to them and be like, hey, are you open to this? And do you want to try it?
Right.
So,
how did you find someone?
So I went on, I believe it was Backpage at the time. I'm not completely sure if it was Backpage or not. I believe it was Backpage.
When it still existed?
When it still existed, yes. It's been gone for a little while.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So I found someone online that, they had a couple of their photos online, and I'm like, okay, this person looks legitimate. I don't think they're a scammer. So I tried contacting her, and then, I messaged her. I said, hey, I kind of like this stuff, I kind of, want to just, play with your feet, and, are you interested in this?
Was this something that she had advertised? Like, hey,
yes.
I do this. Okay,
yes.
Yeah. Okay,
it was definitely on the BDSM part of Backpage.
Backpage, yeah.
So, yes, she had advertised it, and she had a website of her own little website, and she has a couple of photos of her. I'm like, okay, this person looks legitimate.
It's like classic Dom.
She wasn't really classic Dom. I will get into it a little bit later.
Oh, okay,
She was a Dom, but she was almost at the point of retiring at that point in time.
Okay, wait, yeah.
Yeah.
Continue with your chronological.
Yeah, I'll do it that way.
Explaining.
So I just messaged her. I emailed her on there, and she emailed me back. I think it was the next day or maybe 2 days after. And she's like, yeah, I've had experience with this kind of thing that you're into, and when would you like to meet? So,
oh my God,
yes.
Were you so excited or so nervous?
I was more nervous than excited, but I almost also didn't go through with it because I'm like, what am I getting myself into? Is she going to kill me? Like, what's going to happen here?
Full-on freak out.
Full-on freak out. But the thing with her was, she wouldn't meet anybody unless she spoke to them over the phone. So she's like, I'm not giving you my address. I'm not giving you anything. Come to this location. Call me from this location. I'll let you know where I am.
Yeah, safety precautions, guys.
Exactly.
Right.
So I went to the location that she had mentioned, and I called her from there. I'm like, hey, I'm here. And then I spoke to her over the phone, and she seemed nice enough. She seemed like she was genuine. And then she gave me her address. I went over. I was a nervous wreck. I was sweating, and I didn't know what to expect.
Okay.
But yeah, so I went in. She seemed really nice, and I think she gave me a drink. I don't remember if it was a beer or wine or whatever. She gave me that. She talked to me a little bit for about 5-10 minutes. Like, okay, like, what are you really into? What do you want to experience? And pretty much took it from there. Mm-hmm. I had her booked for an hour.
Do you remember your entire first session? Do you remember anything?
I do remember. I mean, bits and pieces here and there. This is, again, going back probably around 9-10 years or so.
Never forget your first time.
I remember I was a nervous wreck, and even she noticed it, and she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you so nervous? Just relax. And so
You feel like you're nervous now.
I am a little bit nervous now because I've only ever done one other podcast, and I was a nervous wreck at that one as well.
That's okay. It's all just a chill conversation here. So that happened. It was a good experience for you? How was that?
It was definitely eye-opening for me, to get that experience, because up to that point I had never actually, experienced like touching a woman's feet or having them on my face or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And, she was cool with it. Like I said, she was towards retiring from being a dom. So she was a dom. She had a dungeon and everything at one point in her life. Mm-hmm. But she was just kind of phasing out of it. And, she was moving on to the next phase in her life. Mm-hmm. So she knew what she was doing.
Yeah, for sure.
And then... yeah, so she basically had me on the ground, and she was trampling me a little bit, and making me kiss her feet and whatnot. And
is that what you liked, or is that what she suggested?
that is what I suggested to her when I first messaged her. I'm like, this is kind of what I'm looking into, some trampling, just kind of worshiping your feet. Is that something you're into? And she said, yeah, this is nothing for me. I've done so much crazier stuff. This is
totally
nothing. So that was the first time that I met her. We did that. It was 1 hour. I don't even know if it went the whole hour. I think we did, because we talked a little bit. So that cut into the 1 hour.
Totally.
But yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I just want to interrupt you there. So going back, you wanted to be on the ground, so you are on your back, facing up, basically.
Both. I have my face up and then also my face down. In general, I don't quite like to do that. I'd like the lady to tell me, I'd like to be told what to do. It's not like I'm going to turn around, by myself. It's no, she tells me, whether to turn around or not. Yeah.
You want to kind of be dominated in that sense, then.
Yes, definitely.
I obviously know that, but yeah. Our audience does not. So interesting. Okay, so and then I know you. Well, I know this, but you definitely like to have feet over top of you, almost hovering above you and stuff like that. What is it about that intrigues you? Why that? Is that something that you read before in a forum, or is that something that you just want?
No, that is something that has nothing to do really with forums. It's also, I would say, more stimulating for me. Just going back to all the photos and the videos that I have seen over the number of years, and I've seen a lot of things, and to me, this is...
a lot of things.
A lot of different... well, not a lot of things. A lot of different, I guess, themes in foot fetish.
Oh, I see,
and this
yes,
is...
we're going to go to that later.
Yeah, and this is definitely something that I personally enjoy the most. There's things like ball busting, which is
great, by the way, guys. It's so much fun.
Yes, I've not experienced that, and I think I like my balls a little bit too much to get kicked in them. But so for me, this is more, it's not harmful in a sense that I'm not going to get myself harmed.
Especially permanent damage. We talked about that in episode 1, 2, people like that. Some people are not into that.
No, in terms of permanent damage, I'm not into it. Obviously, I don't mind temporary marks and bruises and whatnot from trampling, but I don't think I would enjoy getting kicked in the balls. So that's Not something I enjoy, but to me this seemed...
Darn. Okay. Just kidding, not really.
Again, I have not experienced it, so, they say if you like, you should try everything once, so maybe, but, yeah.
Okay.
But to me, this seemed very, how do you say,
stimulating, intriguing.
Stimulating, intriguing without hurting myself, and
right.
Also, to me, that kind of made more sense because it kind of makes... It goes back to what I was saying earlier about making the girl feel special by like worshipping the lowest part of her body.
That whole theme.
Yeah. So to me, having her feet on my face is kind of, being under the lowest part of her body.
Mm-hmm. So definitely more, very worshipy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, definitely very worshipy.
Forgot to say, what do you call me?
What do I call you? So I call you Khaleesi.
Yes. Because Game of Thrones guys, I'm a big fan.
I have noticed. And I also call you the queen, or my queen. So.
Which is also true. Mm. That's the only thing you should ever call me. But anyways.
Yes. I noticed you don't like being called princess. Much.
At least. I think in the beginning I did. But I prefer queen. Because they're more in charge. Mm-hmm. Like a queen in chess is the most powerful player.
That's right.
Right?
There is no princess in chess.
Because there's a lot of power. And kinks are all about a power play, right?
Exactly.
Power dynamic, right? So, but going back, you mentioned something about like different genres, different themes in terms of feet fetish and foot fetish when you were like looking online and stuff. Do you kind of want to explain the different kinds? I feel like you are much more knowledgeable than me. Like I only know like a few different things in terms of like subdivisions, but do you want to mention a few or kind of go into a few for those who are not familiar, which I'm sure is everyone out there?
Sure. I mean, there's a whole different variety of them. Like personally, I have lots of videos of all the different kinds, and this is kind of what I'm into, is what I just described to you. Mm-hmm. But there's definitely ball busting, as you had seen. Mm-hmm. There is also things with like food. For example.
Oh yeah, yes. You also like that too, right?
I also like that. That is something more recent for me to like it. I was never really into it until.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So there's things like you would step on something and you would make me like eat it. They're just called like foot
What's
play.
That called?
I don't know if there's a specific term for it, but it's more like food crush.
Food crush? Food?
No, food. Like,
oh my gosh.
Food crush videos. There are other videos like POVs, like point of view as well.
Yeah, I know point of view for sure is very popular just from my own knowledge of like foot fetishes and my own like other foot slaves around the world. But sorry, yeah, keep going.
Other than that, I mean, there is different genres. There is also, I've seen some with like whipping and like tying, like the guy being tied up, so that he can't do anything. And
yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah.
I've done some research.
There's definitely trampling. There's lots of different trampling videos and types that I have. There's multi-trampling, like I have this one website that I really like, which has kind of gone offline now. I'm kind of sad. It was a French website with this crazy French guy, and he would have at a time sometimes up to 10 women standing on him in heels, like pretty much all over from his head all the way to his legs. I have no idea how he did it. Maybe that's why he's no longer online. Maybe something happened to him. I don't know. I hope not, because I really do enjoy his videos. And I have quite a bit of them on my computer back home. But it is definitely out there. That is something really big out there. I haven't really experienced that many people on me. I don't think I would want that.
Oh my god, I'm just thinking about like my bones being crushed and like dying, which would not be good. I know, like, for my own knowledge is also like just subdivisions of foot fetishes too, like toe sucking, foot job, soul licker, it's penetration, heel insertion, which I just cringe at every single time I think about that. I've seen pictures. I remember this one guy, one of my fans really wanted me to do that, and I'm just like, oh god, it's just not happening. So heel insertion, guys. It's exactly what you think it is. So think of a stiletto heel, but like hopefully you're shaking your head.
I have seen videos like that.
I've seen videos.
Yes.
And basically think of a nice thin like stiletto heel and you're inserting it into the tip of a penis. Oh my god.
I cannot fathom.
I'm literally dying right now. Like
no.
I'm just like my vagina just turned inside out. It's just
I have
super
seen
painful.
Those, and I have noticed 1 or 2 videos where like blood even.
Oh my god, no!
And that just is a big turn off for me. I can never ever imagine doing something like that. That is just no. And kudos to the people that do it because that's not me.
That's next level. So like more on the extreme end of I would say like feet fetishes and whatnot. But it's as you can see, the spectrum is rather large. It's quite a rainbow of of things too. But I guess how we got started. I'm sure you guys are interested in hearing the story. So basically. I was selling my pleasers online because it's the wrong size, because I'm dumb. Can I tell a story?
Of course.
Okay, good, yeah. You don't have a choice. But anyway. So I'm trying to sell my shoes, my pleasers, so the heels that I dance in when I do exotic dance. But anyways, it's the wrong size, too small, because I'm dumb. I ordered the wrong size. A fan ordered it. It was the wrong size. I picked the wrong one. Anyways, I'm planning to sell it, and of course, when you sell things on Facebook Marketplaces, and especially when it comes to shoes, I've heard of this many times. My girlfriends are like, the foot fetish people will come. And I'm just like, okay, sure. I'm familiar with foot fetish people. I have a few slaves of my own from around the world virtually, and we'll go into that later. But basically, I did get a couple messages from males that have foot fetishes, and you were one of them. But I liked the way that you responded because it was very respectful. You introduced yourself and like, hey, I'm not really interested in buying your shoes, but would you be interested in this for X amount of dollars? And I'm like, oh, sure, like it's whatever to me. So it's easy for me to kind of get into that because I don't care about foot fetishes, whatever. I think it's easy. I think it's great. I don't have to sleep with anyone. It's within my comfort level. I'm okay with it. Cool. I get paid for it. It's fine. So you basically introduce yourself, make you feel really comfortable, and you're like, we can meet up, like, beforehand. Obviously, because I don't do a lot of these, I guess you call them in-calls now, since I learned from my own podcast. But anyways, in-calls in terms of foot fetish. But you had agreed to meet me at a Starbucks, which you did. And then I was pleasantly surprised to be like, oh, because like my girlfriends and I were like betting, like, hey, there's this foot fetish guy, he's gonna come meet me. And then I thought it was gonna be some like fat old white dude, balding or something. And then my girlfriend's like, no, it's gonna be some like skinny dude with glasses, like total nerd. And I'm just like, no man, I really think it's gonna be some skinny, like some like fat old white dude. I am positive. But of course, with any stereotypes, which I don't like to do, of course, nowadays, you were none of those things. You turned out to be completely normal and a complete gentleman and made me feel safe. And then I decided to, okay, maybe let's do this. So we did, and it was really cool. So in terms of my precautions and stuff like that, like things that I took to kind of ensure my own safety, I didn't even have to go through all those filters because you already gave me all that information. So what my slave did, he gave me his full name, he gave me his address, you gave me a copy of your driver's license, like, definitely. Yeah, like super serious, like you'd obviously done this before, and it shows. So you did a really great job in like, gaining that trust and like, and building it too.
Of course, and the trust goes both ways. I want you to feel comfortable because you never know these days, right? I'd rather give out my information, right? Like if I had something to hide, I wouldn't, necessarily want to share that. But if I had nothing to hide, then yes, I want to make you feel comfortable. And I'm glad that you shared that information with a friend, and you had somebody check on you every, half hour or so just to make sure that you're okay, because that to me is important. I want you to feel safe.
Totally. Is this something that you started with your past people as well? Your past doms?
I did meet someone else before as well, and I met them for coffee first. So definitely I found that this is the easiest way because...
Was it the two girls?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, one of them. I met one of them.
Oh, and she brought a friend.
she brought a friend, yes.
Right.
So, to me, just to meet in person, meet face to face, talk it out, and, with you, I actually showed you a couple of small clips as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did. Right.
So, to me, I think that says a lot more than just messaging on Facebook and being like, hey, you want to do this. I think, pictures and words, and meeting someone face to face goes a long way.
And that wasn't even your account that you messaged me from too. It was a fake account.
Of course it was a fake account, obviously. But as soon as we met, I told you, hey, I'm not this person. I'm this person.
Right.
But obviously, because of privacy, my own privacy, it's not something that I like to advertise. Like I was saying earlier, I'm open about it now, but I'm not open to my friends and family. So it's definitely I'm not gonna be messaging you from my real account, because then there's my LinkedIn and there's everything else, work, and I need to respect that as well.
Of course. It goes both ways, as you said. But tell me about this other, the other DOMs that you were involved with. How was that?
So the other DOMs, so I did see, between, in the last 10 years or so, I would say, probably 4 or 5 different people. Majority of them have been one time, and it's like, what the fuck was that? Like, I don't want to see them again. Yes, I had like at least 2 people that I only saw one time, and I was like, no, you don't know what you're doing. I don't want to see you guys again.
So in terms of like, you don't know what you're doing, can you elaborate on that? Because like we've talked about in the DOM episodes, we had 2 of them already. I think episode 1 and episode... Ooh, God, it was Ivy Heart, that episode. Talking about people that are trying to fake it till they make it doesn't always work in your favor, guys.
No,
people can tell, clients can tell.
Definitely can tell when somebody is just in it, for the bottom dollar. The money. They keep looking at their watch. They don't really like.
They're not engaged.
They're not engaged, exactly, and that is, to me, that is really important. Someone that is engaged. Someone that is having fun, doing this and exploring it together. The few people that I only saw one time, they were just like sitting there, not doing anything. It's like, okay, you can do whatever you want. I'm like, well, that's not really how it works. You're supposed to be more engaged. You're supposed to be doing things. And, they just kept looking at the clock. Okay, time's up. I gotta go now.
How did you find those people? Do you think like they were even real DOMs?
Well, one of them supposedly was a DOM. The other person, she had a back page advertisement, not in the DOM section, but more in the escort section.
Oh,
so she didn't really know what she was doing, and she wasn't really into it either.
Yeah, escorts and DOMs, to me, are very separate.
They are.
Super separate.
And that's what I learned after, after that experience, for sure.
Oh, no. You poor thing. Sort of. Not really. I don't care. Anyways. So, because you learned your lesson from that, obviously.
Definitely.
Right.
But then I went on Backpage again a couple of years ago. I think it was Backpage, or maybe it was Leo's List. I can't quite remember now.
Leo's List.
Yeah, one or the other. And that's where I met someone else that I kind of started or saw on and off for maybe 2 years or so. And that's the same one that had a friend, and she brought her friend as well.
Fun.
Yeah, and that was the first time for me to experience 2 ladies, like trampling me and, at the same time.
Making their marks with their stiletto heels?
Definitely. Yes, definitely they like to do that quite often.
Oh, so how's that?
It was definitely a lot more fun. Experiencing that with two women at the same time. To me, that was like, oh, okay. Because like I was mentioning earlier, I was watching the French dude with the videos of like having 10 different ladies on him. Like,
you can do that.
I don't know how he does it. But so to me, that's one of the top videos that I always liked. So I was like, oh, okay, if she has a friend that might be interested, like I trust her. So, it's fine if she brings a friend, like I trusted her enough to let her bring a friend without like meeting that person beforehand, like I was saying.
Yeah, because she can bet.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like best friends from like going back to high school and all that. So I trusted her and I was like, okay, you know what, fine, whatever, just bring your friend. And that was fine. And, sometimes I would see them together. Sometimes I would see them individually.
Fun.
Yeah, I think
duo
that's...
action.
That was more or less in 2016, 2017, I would say.
Oh, it's a little while ago then.
Yeah, but that was my longest. That went on for about 2 years or so.
Wow,
yeah.
That's a good amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, not every weekend, obviously. It has to do
Yeah.
with finances and whatnot and how much money I had left after paying all the bills.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
I would see them, I don't know, I don't want to quantify it per year, but definitely more than 6-7 times a year, I would say.
Okay.
Maybe that's not too much, but
like
sometimes
too much,
it was like the two of them together, so...
Right. The double. Right. So what makes like a good dom and a bad dom? Because we kind of touched on it a little bit, but what would you consider?
I think a good dom, good in terms of someone who's engaging, someone that is aware of your limits, like someone that respects your limits and, sets aside the time to actually get to know you a little bit and not just wants to start a session without getting to know you a little bit, getting, what you like, what you don't like. To me, that is quite important just because, it makes me feel like they actually are interested in trying to explore this together, whereas some others that don't put that time and effort in, you're like, okay, they're just after the money. They don't really care about anything else.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're all in it for the money, but you have to be kind of engaged, guys.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, yes, I know that money at the end is what motivates everyone, but, to an extent, you have to enjoy what you're doing. Otherwise, why are you doing it?
Right? Exactly. Wow, that's super, super interesting. So, given all this, so you said you're 36 years old now. Why do you think you're into feet? There's nothing wrong with that, but, why? What would be your kind of conclusion around it?
Conclusion in terms of
why do you think you're attracted to feet? What is it about feet?
Again, like I was mentioning earlier, it is the lowest part of the woman, and that I love to worship that because then it's the worshiping definitely, and
the dominating aspect.
The trampling. I love that. There's also smell and whatnot that is somewhat it's out there.
Right. Oh my gosh! So how much of a factor is that it for you?
I generally like it.
Oh my god!
The more natural it is, the better, right?
Yeah.
I don't like super pampered or super fake kind of. We just did the spa thing and my feet are super fresh. I just want it to be natural the way it is every day.
Yeah, I have a slave in Massachusetts that buys my socks. Hey Brandon, if you're listening. But yeah, it's just so interesting because I remember when he found me on Instagram. Basically, he'd see me a video of me, my Instagram story going hiking, and then he's like, "Can I buy the socks of you?" And I'm just like, "Is this guy for real?" And he PayPals me the money. I'm like, "He's for real." I just send my post hiking socks to him in preferably a Ziploc container because it would conceal the smell for him. So and then he upgraded to slippers and stuff too, and it had to be, he's very particular, it had to be the closed toe slipper because there's more sweat that goes that way, not the one that's just open with the toes. It's just super, he was super particular, super specific. I thought that was just so interesting and wild.
That's definitely out there, and that's another genre of the videos that I do have. It's a lot with the smelling.
A lot of videos.
I definitely have a lot of videos, yes.
What do you guys do with the socks? I don't want to know. I want to know. Wait, we haven't started the Q&A part yet. I'm just kidding. I just want to know. But then I don't want to know. Is that... Okay, wait. Do you guys just smell it for the smell?
To me, it is... Yes, definitely the smell is something that kind of turns me on. Definitely. I don't do what you think I would be doing with them.
Okay, because in everyone's mind, including mine, sometimes thinks that people will just use a sock to jack off in and whatever, and I don't know.
I'm sure some guys do it, but for me personally, I rather just have the smell than ruining it with jacking off into it. So
interesting. I forgot to even talk about the psychology about the foot fetishes. Did you ever read up any theories about foot fetishes, like Sigmund Freud and...
I read a little bit about that. I mean, I always wanted to know more myself.
You should read it, but there's lots of interesting theories.
I heard about, like, you know, the
concepts.
cross wires and all whatnot in your brain that makes you know, like feet. But
well, the feet and genitalia are supposed to be like mapped close in proximity and near the homunculus, which is like sensitive receptors to those areas. So
definitely, and that's as far as I know about it. But I definitely need to. You know, be a little bit more engaged in that. And for the longest time, I actually wanted to talk to a psychiatrist or something and just try to figure it out. But I just haven't yet. So, and
are you not ready to, or?
I think I've just accepted it, you know, like for the longest time I wanted to talk to someone and be like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, why, you know?
Okay. I don't think it's about a matter of like, what the fuck is wrong with you. It's just that you're different and you like this stuff. And you know what? Society isn't, it might not be like, societally accepted, but I don't know, I don't think there's anything wrong with it personally. Like for me, I think, like, I'm theorizing that it has something to do with domination. It seems to be like a theme for you, and like especially the way that you like the feet, especially being over top of you, just a whole dominating theme. And also I think because like you were super close with your mom too, and I think it has something to do with like how you view women in that way, and the whole power play and the whole power dynamic too. So that's just my gathering from our sessions together, and also just what you've revealed to me on this podcast. So that's my takeaway. So I'm not a psychiatrist though, so don't put me on that.
And you know,
doesn't make
like,
any sense.
No, and I am completely fine with it now. This is like when I say wanted to talk to a psychiatrist, this is going back before I had done any kind of you know, before I had done anything with anyone. I was like, why am I into this? Why do I like this stuff? And that's kind of what I wanted to go and talk to someone and be like, hey, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know. But now I'm completely cool with it, you know, like, people are going to judge you regardless of what you like and what you don't like, so you just have to find the right people that don't judge you and accept you as who you are.
Oh, that's so great. And on that note, we'll get into the Q&A, because I just freaking realized how many fucking questions there are. Like, this might be the record, so let's get into it. I have a fetish for dudes who have foot fetishes. Where do I find you guys? Touch my feet! I know exactly who said this. Where do we find you guys?
Where do you find online? I guess. I mean, I don't personally know a whole lot of. Again, as a guy, I don't really like to connect with too many other guys that are into this.
Well,
because
apparently it's forums and shit like that.
Forums, yes. I don't really connect with them though. Like I was saying, I just like to read what people say. But to me, like I was saying earlier, I'm grossed out by guys' feet, so I don't necessarily want to know any guys that are into it.
Okay.
But
online in general.
Online in general, but you know, you just have to make sure that who you're talking to is someone genuine, and just try and spend some time to get to know them, and you know, make sure that they're not trying to scam you.
Of course. Take your safety precautions as you would with anybody. What makes a pretty foot?
Definitely, I think what makes it pretty to me is just being natural. I definitely like nail polish color, because that...
Ooh, sorry. Haven't had that in a while.
No, that's fine. To me, that kind of makes it more feminine, you know, than...
And fun.
And fun, yes, definitely.
You're painting my toenails for me later.
I would love to.
Team long toes or team short toes? Who fuck writes this shit?
I get it. You know, I don't want to judge. It depends on the person.
You don't discriminate.
I don't discriminate against it. It's if the person is nice and likes to get involved and likes to do this kind of stuff, I don't quite have a preference. Long toes, short toes, I'm fine either way.
Okay.
It's more the person, really, and how interested and genuine they are.
Okay. Not really my thing, but why do guys find big feet appealing on women? And this person wrote big equals masculine. Do you agree with that? I don't know if I...
Big feet. I genuinely... I have never, like, seen anyone with big feet, like, women-wise. You know, I don't generally... I don't know if I agree with that, per se.
Yeah, that's okay. No need to.
Yeah.
How many people have you reached out to regarding this fetish, and how many people pulled through?
How many people
have you reached out to, and then I guess how many people have you actually met up with? Because you said you met up to like 5.
Yeah, so. 5 or 6 different people that I've met up. Most of them through Backpage.
Yeah.
But I've reached out to a lot, but then I didn't actually follow through myself.
Oh.
I reached out to a lot of...
Did you get cold feet? Oh my God, help me. Yes. I had to.
I did reach out to quite a lot of DOMs. A lot of them through Backpage, a lot of them through Leo's List, and some just by Googling and finding like independent, people that have websites that are not on Backpage. I messaged it quite a bit, over the years, but for whatever reason, I just didn't follow through. Sometimes you get a response that you don't feel that there's any kind of connection there.
Right.
And other times, I thought I would want to see someone, and then finances didn't work out.
Yeah. Just depends, right?
It depends,
Cool.
But yeah, no, I've definitely reached out to quite a lot over the years.
Okay. Do you strictly only like women's feet? I think the answer is yes.
Definitely yes.
Absolutely. When did you start accepting your fetish? I think you also kind of touched on this.
Yeah, again, in my 20s, after moving to Canada and just saying, fuck it, you only live one life, just
YOLO.
Explore it.
Yes. And I guess it's the same question. When did you realize you had a fetish? But you said, I guess, very early on.
Very early on.
I guess, well, for me, what I'd be curious is, like, you noticed you had the observation as a young child, but when did that become fetishized? That's when did that distinction happen?
I think as soon as I hit puberty, I knew it, It just turned me on, and I knew that I was into it.
Okay. How much have you spent in total on your foot fetish?
How much have I spent? That's a good question.
That's a great question.
I don't know if I have it all written down, but definitely...
Do you have a ballpark estimate?
Thousands?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Whoa, okay. Serious business.
Thousands, but, less than 10,000, definitely, but in the thousands.
Okay.
Over the years.
Right, in total. Have you ever met up with someone and felt unsafe or regretted it?
Yes. Like I was saying, the people that were...
That sucked.
Yes. The people that were not into it, they were just in it for the money, didn't talk, didn't do anything. It's not for me. So...
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever caught feelings for one of your DOMs? Whoops. No comment?
Yeah, no comment there. But...
do you like clean or dirty feet? What's the appeal? Trampling, tell us why you like it.
So clean or dirty, like I was saying, natural. So I don't like, somebody that will just shower too clean, anything special for me. Just be natural, be yourself.
Right.
Trampling, what I like about it is the pressure. I definitely enjoy having that pressure on me. In a way, it's like, can you take it? Yes, I can take it. But I also like light marks, like with heels and whatnot, just as a souvenir kind of thing on me.
Yeah.
So I definitely like that.
You're branded.
Branded, exactly.
How can you get a foot slave? Does it involve more? What? Does it involve more? Other sexual things?
Depends. It could turn into something more, but it depends on the people, right? It depends on both people.
Right, totally. It's a general question. Why feet? There's a lot of fucking questions here.
Yeah.
We've already answered that.
I think we already kind of went over that.
What are some no-nos when it comes to feet, or do you appreciate every type of feet?
No-nos in terms of feet. I mean, obviously I don't want, somebody to walk outdoors barefoot and then be like, hey, lick my feet. That's just not for me, especially in this day and age with the coronavirus going on. That's definitely not something I would enjoy.
Right.
It's got to be fun. It's got to be
mutually
sanitary, to an extent. Obviously I was mentioning about the food and whatnot. That's fine, but...
That was fun.
That's fun, definitely.
Fun. So guys, some context here. So Marie suggested to me, he's like, why don't you put some food in your shoe and wear it around all day, and I'll eat it at the end of the day when we have our session.
That was delicious.
And I did. Did you guys know that bread makes a great insole? Bread makes a great insole. I kid you not. Fun fact.
So that to me is fine, but you know, other things like dirt from the street, not really fine for me.
I know, I made you clean my shoe. I don't think you like that very much, but
that was okay. That was the top, right? So
it was the top, so whatever. You cleaned it for me. It was great. Would you rather fuck some feet or some pussy?
To be honest, the thing is, as much as I love feet, I'm not really into getting foot jobs that much. I don't mind them, but to me, the act of worshiping them is more what makes me, I guess, horny than just getting a foot job. But in terms of...
But I thought you liked the pressure, or pressure on your body.
I do like the pressure, but I don't like to just jack off, with a girl's feet. Just, there's more important things like fucking a pussy, so...
Yeah, okay. Do you ever get... Do you ever get burns when getting foot jobs? I can't remember who asked this question.
No comment there. I haven't had it. Hasn't happened to me, but I'm sure it's happened to some guys. No, I have not had that happen to me.
Which toe is the sexiest?
Big toe.
Big toe? Why? Because it's big?
It's big, and it's also the main kind of toe, right? To me, that is the one that sticks out. It's usually, you notice the nail polish on that one first.
So it's bigger.
It's bigger, obviously.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. What does Steph's feet taste like?
They smell like roses.
I really do not think like that at all. I'm a server part-time, so... And I usually see you after that job, so... And
they're just absolutely... I love them. They're delicious, and I could just have them every single day.
And I'm going to have a shot of wine right now.
Me too.
Why would anyone want to be a slave? And that's the last question. There's a lot of questions, guys.
Again, for me, the slave thing is something personal. It's something that you do in your house with that someone. It's not like I go out on the street and advertise myself as hey, I'm a slave. Like I don't do that. But to me, just the act of doing things for someone and making someone feel special, that just makes me happy.
Right. And to give you guys some context, so you upgraded from being my foot slave to being my slave. So basically now you're at the point where you're just like cleaning my house for me, cleaning my bathroom, giving me foot rubs, and yeah, it's great. I can't really complain.
Neither can I. It's absolutely great, and I love doing all of that for you.
The best job you could have during the coronavirus, so... But anyways, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for being on the show, Slave.
Thank you.
Because I can't use a real name. But I guess we cannot find you anywhere. I'm going to respect your privacy, so I will keep you as anonymous. But don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, and follow, guys. Strip by Sia on Instagram, on Facebook. My personal is Sia Steph, and I hope real soon that I can get up to recording again, because this will be the last episode of season 1, unless the pandemic ceases soon. But hope you guys enjoyed listening. I'll kick up season 2 whenever I'm allowed to leave my house again. Anyway, signing off, guys. Thanks again. See you guys when I see you guys. Peace.
Listening to Stripped by Sia, produced and hosted by Steph